All right, hi, this is Reverend Paul Slatkus, and this is a very special opportunity because these two wonderful people are publishers of the Positive Community magazine, and they have an upcoming this weekend Great American Emancipation Day Award celebration honoring our friend DIONNE Warwick, Robert Kool Bell from Kool and the Gang, Reverend Dr. Albert Morgan, and community leaders, and presented by the Positive Community magazine, Saturday, February 25th, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. We're going to learn about it. We're with the publishers here. Let's start with Jean Wells. Hey, Jean, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Paul? Nice
All right, good. I'm so excited to get to speak with you. And Adrian, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Adrian Council. And so I have been there. I went there to see their event last year, and we broadcasted live. So you can go to Good News Broadcast and Good News Planet to see what they did last year. But I learned a real lot at that event. I learned about Emancipation Proclamation, things that I had no idea about, to be honest with you. And it was presented in a very beautiful way. The entire event, the food, the people, the kindness, the love, and the beautiful old hotel there in Newark, New Jersey. This is good news. So tell us about well, maybe first tell us about why you're doing this.
Adrian.
Adrian, why are you doing it?
Okay, well, it's with the understanding that this year, 2023, represents the 160th anniversary year of the Great Emancipation. We refer to the Emancipation Proclamation at the Positive Community. We refer to it as it's known as a political and a political maneuver, a wartime maneuver. But to the African American people, we refer to it as for the African American people, we refer to this as the Great Emancipation.
Okay, maybe we should go back and say what it is. The Emancipation Proclamation.
It's a spiritual and cultural event.
Occurred during the Civil War, when Black people, African people in the United States were enslaved in slavery. There was a civil war. The South was seceding from the United States in order to keep slavery. The northern states wanted to abolish it. President Lincoln, at the time, decided to use it as a war maneuver, freed the slaves, and then the slaves went to war for the United States in the South to actually free themselves, and to win the war, which kept the United States together. So that's the total of what the Emancipation Proclamation was about. Right, Adrian?
On January 1st, 1863, 4.5 million of our ancestors who were held in bondage in the Confederate States got their freedom with the Emancipation Proclamation. On that day, 200,000 Negro troops were mobilized to fight alongside the Union Army. On that day, it went from a war to end slavery. It went from a war to save the Union to a war to end slavery. So yes, this is a pretty big deal. We're doing whatever we can to see to it that our community is informed about how important this date is, and America, how important this date is in the American story. And so, we're talking about a war that cost over 700,000 American lives. So it was no small thing. And a shout out to the descendants of those who fought in the Union Army to see to it that we had our freedom. So this is an all-American event, Emancipation Day.
Well,
and we are coming together to celebrate that.
Jean, did you want to say something?
No.
So this is also known, I believe, as the bloodiest, the most terrible thing that ever happened here in America, that war. The Civil War was inhuman.
Yeah.
from what I know of that time, right on our own shores, right? That was bad news for us that are positive people. It's a history. You tell us why though, you know, first tell us about it's a magazine, right? Positive Community. I love the name, Positive Community uh uh magazine. What, tell me about that. How long has that been around?
We have been around for nearly 23 years. Our raison d'etre is that at the time, and for so many, many, many years, the information about who the Black community was not seen or read or published actually by the general media. All that you saw was how bad things were. And we decided that there were people like us, like me, like Adrian, and our families who do our best for God and our country. And we want our children to be raised, educated, go to college, get a job. We want the American dream. And we work hard for those things. Our parents did, Adrian's parents did, our forefathers did that. And we want to let people know who we really are. It's not just I don't want to say underclass, but it's not just the people that you read about or see on television who are doing these horrendous things. It's a small portion of who we are.
Do schools teach this history? Are you
Well,
aware?
there's
Yes or no?
there's a great debate about that now with the what is it, the College Board coming out with an AP course,
Advanced placement.
advanced placement course, which means that young people in high school can take advanced placement courses and learn more of the history, go deep into the history of who African Americans are. Actually, I'm old, so I was in school in the 40s and 50s, and we had, and I grew up in an all-white community, so we had minimal information about the Civil War. We just learned that there were slaves, but I got most of my history from home and from books that we had at home and from my parents. And I'm not certain what the schools are teaching now.
But they sure should be, because we see, you know, within these last few years, actually more so, that I don't like to actually say that Black Lives Matter, but I just don't like the words, but because all lives matter. But you know, the outreach that the African American Negro community has been doing for years has hit a pinnacle.
Well, not really.
No,
It's
well,
better.
it seems
It's,
like
it's
in
better.
the sense that it's become a more of well, let's say I think more people are doing more about it.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
corporate America, we have this diversity, inclusion out there, whether it's being successful or not. But so the reason why I'm saying this is because what you're reminding us of, okay, I'm Jewish, so the Holocaust reminds us of. So what these things remind you of is where we're coming from. And when you're coming from some problematic scenarios, such as what we're talking about, slavery, okay, or murder, period, it sometimes puts some perspective on how we got to where we are today. And so that's the point. And by you guys continuing with this outreach that you do, one, the Positive Community magazine, the Emancipation Proclamation, I mean, I hope you become the cover of the New York Times or the, our on Facebook viral scenario, because it's important.
So, but that's just the beginning. And one of the things that we are saying now that it was the dawn of freedom, because it didn't go that easy. It didn't go as perhaps President Lincoln thought it might go, because I'll have to say the opposition went on to create other kinds of structures like Jim Crow, like separate but equal, or first separate and then separate but equal. So there were continually other things put in place, maybe not legally, but in the South they were legal to have separate drinking fountains and all of that. So the emancipation was the realization by many that slavery was wrong and that African Americans were people too. And because after all, in the Constitution, we were 3/5 of a human being. So they realized that we were people too, and we had certain rights. But this was the beginning of a long road to, 1964, to the Civil Rights Act, which has also been tried to be turned back in many ways. But we're talking about the deepest history of our community.
Let me ask you one last question, and I thank you very much for this time. We could talk much longer at another time. What is peace for each one of you? What's peace, do you feel?
Could you say that, repeat that, please?
What is peace for you? Peace. What's peace for you?
All right, peace for me is having a full understanding of who we are and whose we are. We can move forward with a deeper knowledge and appreciation and gratitude for our history. In 2012, in anticipation of the 150th anniversary of Emancipation, we wrote something called the African American Cultural Narrative. This is our story in 281 words. We're doing everything that we possibly can to see to it that we can teach this to our children, not only in the schools, but at the homes and in the churches. So as we say, the dawn of freedom, that journey continues with the knowledge that back in the 60s, in the 50s, when we were fighting for those civil rights, the people, it was a black and white country. Today it's multicultural, it's multi-ethnic. The the black community of the United States is multicultural and multi-ethnic. So it's important that our young people know their story. Who are you? And who are you? That question is going to be asked. So we have to be able to see to it that our kids respond in the positive, in the affirmative. Yes, we're the mighty descendants of the great emancipation of 1863, beloved sons and daughters of the Most High God. We have to build our story on, on truth. And yes, we have a triumphant history and a triumphant story that if we don't pass this along to our children, it certainly hurts all of America. And all Americans should know the African American cultural narrative. So we have that available. It's online. You can download it, but we have it in several different forms. We have it in video form and we have it in printed form. But we want to see to it that our community, our young people in our community, by the time they're 13 years old, they'll know how to recite it. They'll know how to speak it. They'll know to commit it to memory and comprehension, comprehend it, and that's peace. That is with giving your children a knowledge of who they are in this country. It's also a part of the American identity because it's a part of it. So one could say, well, historically the cultural narrative may not be all that accurate, but it still is the truth. Just like in biblical terms, Jonah and the whale. That was not necessarily a factual story, but it was a narrative. And so we have to teach a narrative.
Gotcha. Beautiful. Thank you. What's peace for you?
Well, I think of myself as pretty much at peace. On my email, I forget what, I close my emails always with the word peace. People say blessings and goodbye and blah, blah. I say peace because I think if you have peace within yourself, you have everything. And that means that you're at peace with your life. Of course, there are things that I know need to be changed. Um, the world is not perfect. The United States is not perfect. But I think in general, I'm at peace with who I am. I'm at peace with who my family is. I'm at peace with what I try to do in the world. And, to make things better for everyone.
Beautiful. Jean, thank you very much.
Sure, you're welcome.